and welcome back for those of you who've been before. So this morning I went out for a walk with the dogs. We didn't get far because Luna said we've got to go home, and boy was she right, it's just been pouring with rain. So I do apologise if it starts to rain again. We may get some background noise because we have the conservatory just behind us. So anyway, hello. For those of you who've not met me before, let's stay there, boo-boo. I have two dogs, they're with me now. They occasionally bark. And basically my name's Sam and I'm a nutritional therapist, and I like to talk about how to get through the menopause and into old age with simple tips and hints on how to do that successfully. And it's really about nutrition and lifestyle practices. Now, I always put, and I keep forgetting to tell you, I always put a timestamp in the description below. So I know many women going through this stage of life are terribly busy. They don't have time to listen to a whole video, and there's certain bits they want to listen to and others they're just not interested in. So I suggest you look at the timestamp today, because I'm going to talk about a few little bits today. But if you're like me, you've heard a lot about collagen, and I do take collagen, and I also hear that it's not worth taking. You don't absorb it. It's pointless. And I hear it's very good, it's very supportive. So I thought it's about time I did a little bit of reading around this to find out, because I'm sure I'm a nutritional therapist. I didn't cover this in college, supplementation of collagen, to be honest. It was before it became really popular. And so I thought you might want to know as well. So first of all, I'm going to start off with why I don't talk about supplementation on these videos. And it's quite a simple reason, although the subject itself is quite involved. So when I work with clients, I get to know their history, their medical history, sometimes genetic background, that can be important, and also the medicines they're taking. And I'm able to check all the contraindications that any supplement may have with the medication, or even with a condition that they are experiencing. And particularly if they've got a genetic mutation or variation, it may be that something needs to be tempered, it may need to be included, it may need to be excluded. There's a lot around their personal makeup. And when it comes to single supplements, so like a supplement like zinc, there's a problem where if you take too much and you don't really need it, you could become deficient in other minerals that it competes with in the body. And that can cause a problem in its own right. So I'm very cautious about discussing supplements as a general thing. So I want to say at the start here, any supplement I do speak about, because there are some I would like to share with you, as, if I may say, middle-aged women, because there are certain nutrients that we tend to be lacking as we get to this stage in life. So I'd like to say you can get certain nutrient levels measured, and I might talk about that in another video, because that's quite a big subject in its own right. So knowing where your levels are is a really good starting point. And then with supplementation, I utilise it with clients to boost them, to get them back to health. It's supposed to supplement the diet. It's not supposed to be a long-term item that they take. Although for certain people, if they've got certain conditions or certain diets, you know, like somebody who's a vegan, they become low on B12 because they cannot get it so easily through a vegan diet. Some say they can't at all. There's some evidence that maybe they can. There's always debate on everything. But with somebody who's on a vegan diet, I would look at their levels. Do they need to take B12? And some people actually have to go and have an injection at the doctor's or an infusion, so that it keeps their levels where it needs to be. Otherwise it could be life-threatening. So it's a big complex subject, and I don't want people just to run out and buy something because I say, oh, it's wonderful. I want them to find out what their levels are and be assured that it is the right choice for them. And then what I always do with clients as well is say, don't take it for more than 3 months. Stop at 3 months, see where your body's at. see how it's adjusted to maybe the dietary changes that have been made, hopefully, in many cases, and maybe measure again. It depends on cost for many people, it's got to be said, but it's one of those things where one size does not fit all. I cannot say, you know, every middle-aged woman needs to take this because of that, because it will not be the case for everybody. But I do want to talk about collagen. There's quite a lot around collagen, and again, I would say be very aware of how you feel before you take a supplement. Keep a record of how you feel, and keep a record of how you feel once you take it, because if you listen to your body, you get a good idea of whether it's right for you. So let's move on to what is collagen. Well, collagen is possibly, they say it's the most abundant protein in the body. It forms that sort of structural support for skin, all sort of tissues, bones, ligaments, tendons, and therefore it is top to bottom. It's found within the body. Now it starts to break down, as things do, when we're at quite a young age, and it depletes as we get older, which is why it's often recommended for older people. And it's taken often for reducing wrinkles, giving that structure back to the skin that it can have these other materials build on. So collagen alone needs support from other foods as well, other items of nutrients. Now, we get it normally from animal-based foods, so the flesh of animals, so flesh of meat or fish, some from the bones, it's available. So we get it to our diets generally. But then we also need foods like vitamin C to help build up the tissue within the body. So it's not just that is it, and therefore your tissues will be A-OK. If you think about it, when sailors used to go to sea and didn't have vitamin C, they'd get scurvy and their tissues would start to break down, they'd bleed and they'd get sores, and therefore you need vitamin C. So it's not on its own. And sometimes you find supplements come with additional nutrients that can be beneficial to supporting those tissues. So, what else was I going to tell you on this? There's about 28 different types of collagen, which I thought was extremely interesting. I didn't know that until I had this little read into it. As I say, we didn't really cover this at college, so it's all sort of exciting new stuff for me as well. Type 1, as it's called, represents about 90% of the collagen in our body, and that is where most supplements, I would say, focus on that particular one. Why do we become deficient in it? Well, we can be deficient because of our age. It can be because of our diet. It could be that certain things break down collagen in our bodies. We know that smoking, if you smoke, you can become more wrinkled. And if you drink alcohol, your skin changes as well. Your joints will ache from over excess of certain things. What else have we got? Oh yes, of course, excessive sun exposure. Do recall we do need sun, but excessive exposure, we know we burn the skin, and that causes sun damage, and that becomes more difficult to repair as we get older. So there's various things like that can also impact our levels of collagen. So avoiding excesses of things that you may like. I mean, you know, I would give up smoking. I don't think there's any benefits there. And with alcohol, although some of the science suggests people may live slightly longer if they're already drinking, there are very little benefits to alcohol, if you could call them any, really. So is supplementation useful? Well, what I've read is, and I've only done a brief look into this, I haven't read lots of papers, I've only skimmed it, so there's still more work for me to do here. So if I find anything that's revelationary and that I think might be of use, I will report back again. But what I've read is that anything you put on topically that says that you put it on and it will support your collagen is unlikely to be beneficial. And, well, it's possibly more temporary from that perspective. But those supplements that are taken internally, it shows that, yes, it can be beneficial. Now, this is a caveat to this as well. A lot of the science around this is not based on humans, it's animal studies. And with the pieces I've read, I'm going to put some references below as well in the description, suggests that you need to be very careful about the report you're looking at, the review or whatever it may be, because who sponsors it. When we get into the realms of natural products, and nobody can put a patent on it necessarily, it becomes very difficult to get good science because somebody has to pay for this research. And if there's no money for anybody at the end of it, they can't make money from selling a product, then they tend not to do it. And those where they do sell products, they have an invested interest. So the research may push a certain bias. So one does have to be careful with what one reads. But in general, I think it's also looking at the difference you see that it makes for you. And that's why I think it's good to keep a record of how do you look, how do you feel. And because it's very important for joints, which I haven't mentioned, but it is, and that's one of the reasons I take it. And I have noticed, because I've been taking mine, it must be getting on for a year, the nails on my right hand, I've got osteoarthritis. It's not been diagnosed, but it's presenting like that, so I'm assuming it is that. My mother had it, so I have seen it, and I'm assuming that is what mine is. My nails started to distort. They became very curvy as the swelling went up the finger. They've flattened out my right hand. Not so much my left hand, but my right hand. It was noticeable when I cut my nails the other day. It was much easier to cut my nails because they're much flatter, and the swelling's gone back down to that very first sort of knuckle. So I have seen a difference. Now, I've changed my diet around a little bit recently. I suspect that's an influence as well. I've started to eat my main meal at the middle of the day, so I'm digesting better before I go to bed in the evening, because I had very limited time to prepare, eat, digest, and get to bed because I have early starts. So that was important for me. So the quality of the collagen supplement, it's really important. If you're using a collagen that's made from intensively farmed animals or farmed fish, for instance, then the quality is not going to be there. You need to look for the wild caught fish, for instance, marine life, or grass-fed, pasture-fed, pasture-finished. The better quality is when we talk about eating meats or fish, looking for the better quality products where they don't have additional fillers and things that are not beneficial. Yeah, and so food sources, we mentioned animal products. Bone broth has also cropped up numerous times, and I do utilise that in my own home, and I do utilise that with my clients. And I tend to use it when it comes to recovery from illness, when it comes to digestive issues, but I really focus on homemade from quality bones. That's really important. But there's a lot of sort of a lot of the collagen comes out of those foodstuffs. Now, keep in mind, this is the one query that people have had. The collagen molecule is too big to be absorbed through the gut lining. We break it down into those building blocks, those amino acids, because it is a protein. We break it down into those building blocks. And in essence, our body uses those building blocks where it's needed. So we can't necessarily say we eat collagen, it breaks it down and then rebuilds it into collagen. Not always the case, but there does seem to be benefits from taking a supplement. I take a powdered one. I'm going to show you the one I take, which I like. I like a company called Ancient and Brave. I'm not sponsored by anybody, by the way, so anything I recommend at this time is purely because I like it, I use it, or I believe in the company. So there are sometimes I recommend to my clients products I've never tried because I don't need to try that sort of thing. But if I like the company and know their sort of ethos, their ethics, their sort of quality that they produce, then I'm happy to say, let's try this one. And I also like to find ones that suit somebody's pocket as well. But this is grass-fed bovine. Now, I have read in my studies over the last few days on this that marine collagen may be better. I've got to look into that further. But this is sustainably sourced from grass-fed cattle in the EU. So it's sort of homey grown, kind of. It's produced using an enzymatic hydrolysis process without the use of solvents or chemicals. So that's quite important. We don't want solvents and chemicals, any residue coming into a supplement, because that could actually cause problems. It is a byproduct of the food industry, so it's probably from the bones that would otherwise, I don't know, I mean, most things are used, byproducts are mostly used, but otherwise they'd be discarded. It's an excellent source of protein, no fillers or additives, it's true collagen, it's beautifully pure and highly bioavailable. When it says bioavailable, that means we can absorb it readily into the body. Anything that's bioavailable, our bodies are familiar with it and therefore can take it on board. When it's a synthetic supplement, which often supplements are, the body hasn't got a clue. It says, well, it's not real, so what is it? Don't know what to do with it. And it says tasteless, odourless, dissolves easily. I put it in my berries in the morning. In the winter months when I have a little bit of oats in to make a small porridge, I don't put many oats in because they don't necessarily agree with me. I just like that little bit of fibrous bulk in the winter months. I stir it through, and I have to say you don't notice the difference. Quite nice actually. Sometimes if I have too much juice from the berries, it will sort of soak it up. So that's the one I use. But there are plenty on the market that are good quality. Mine's powder. There are capsules. There are sachets. There's all sorts of forms. So is it worth taking collagen? For most people in their midlife who may have noticed signs of aging, joint aches, any muscular issues, is concerned about premature wrinkling, it's worth trying it. I don't know of any issue by trying this as a negative. At the end of the day, collagen is in the foods we eat if we're eating meats. And if you're eating plenty of fruits and vegetables alongside it, you should be getting all the nutrients you require to utilise the building blocks that are in here to support these structures of your body. So it's one of those things I say, again, I still, even with this, I will go a month without it. So I do 3 months maybe on, and then I'll have a month without it, and then I might restart again. I follow that practice myself. Even with something like this, I still want to see what my body's going to do if it's left to its own devices. So that's it on collagen. That's my findings on collagen so far. The topical, the science is saying probably not, but the internal supplementation, it's saying probably is useful. So that's what I found to date. If I find anything that's actually really, knocks that on the head, I definitely will be back and say so. I have no problem in saying I'm wrong, because the science is always developing. It's so exciting how it changes and how we learn more, and I hope you find it as interesting as I do. If you found this useful, I would be most grateful if you share it with somebody you think might benefit, and if you would like and subscribe, I would be most grateful as well. I would like to grow this channel. There's a few things I'd like to do going forward, but I can only really do that if I increase the numbers, and I'm not good at techie stuff and knowing how this all works. So any assistance you may be able to give me, I'd be so grateful. So thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Please also, in the comments, if there's anything you want me to talk about specifically, please do so. I've got plans to talk about bone health, and I really want to go into that one in detail with helpful things. I want to give you helpful actions, nutrients, and things that are really going to help support you there. So I want to do a lot of work behind the scenes and keep it brief, but to give you the info. I want to talk about some other supplements that I really think are worth considering. But as I say, everybody needs to make sure that it's right for them. So thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.